we do have disturbing new details about the shooting yesterday at that ICE facility in Dallas, just revealed at a presser earlier today, including new information about handwritten notes discovered at the scene. Take a look.
These loose notes included a game plan of the attack and target areas at the facility. He called the ICE employees people showing up to collect a dirty paycheck. He wrote that he intended to maximize lethality against ICE personnel and to maximize property damage at the facility. He also hoped his actions would give ICE agents real terror of being gunned down, and he did this to induce constant stress in their lives. He hoped his actions would terrorize ICE employees and interfere with their work, which he called human trafficking.
Also tonight, FBI Director Kash Patel also sharing more details on social media, including the disturbing fact that the shooter in this case appears to have used that horrific video of Charlie Kirk's assassination for research purposes. Patel also noting that the shooter attempted to use some of those new apps that allow users to report the location of ICE agents. We've been warning everybody, and while you can't blame anyone, I guess, but the shooter, sure, for pulling the trigger, you cannot ignore what we have been saying. The obvious fact, this attack occurred in an environment where ICE is constantly being demonized, dehumanized, and compared repeatedly to the Gestapo and brown shirt and Nazis and fascists, secret police almost every day. In case you've forgotten, here is what some of the most prominent people on the radical left in this country have been saying about ICE recently. Take a look.
Masked men jumping out of unmarked cars, people disappearing, no due process, no oversight, zero accountability happening in the United States of America today. People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? Bull, we're being hyperbolic. If you're a black and brown community, it's here.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
As somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols.
The dangers that we saw in Nazi Germany are the dangers that we need to react to now.
And these ICE agents running around our communities like masked bank robbers, terrorizing women.
Folks getting snatched off the street by secret police who are wearing masks.
ICE agents who have functionally become a secret federal police force.
ICE federal agents pulling up, terrorizing our communities, hopping out of unmarked vans, stealing and, yes, kidnapping people.
An authoritarian government in Washington, D.C. is dispatching masked agents to abduct immigrants from our streets.
This is Gestapo-like behavior.
What terrorism looks like. This is it. There should be no question to what our country would look like had the Confederacy won.
It does look like a Gestapo operation. It does look like the Gestapo.
This rhetoric on the left, as we have been pointing out, needs to stop. We need to get rid of sanctuary states and cities. ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons is warning that assaults on ICE officers are up more than 1,000%. Todd Lyons joins us now. Now, we know Kristi Noem got pushed out of her house. We know Tom Homan is not living with his family and has full-time security. 1,000%?
Yeah, Sean, it's scary. And it's just only getting worse. We've, like you said, we've been saying this from the beginning. This type of rhetoric and accusing ICE of being Nazis, Gestapo, secret police has to stop. Where in America did you think that sworn law enforcement officers would be taking sniper fire from an elevated position? You know, in this day and age, and it's all because of the rhetoric that's directed to the brave men and women of ICE.
You know, this is the thing. You know, I'll always blame the person responsible for pulling the trigger. They alone are responsible. However, when you dehumanize a group of people, law enforcement, the only thing that they've done here, they are doing their job. They are enforcing the law. And then they have to work against states that provide aid and protection, sanctuary states, sanctuary cities. How is that not aiding and abetting and providing benefits? No wonder California, $10 billion in Medi-Cal for illegal immigrants, driver's licenses, sanctuary safe. You can run here and be safe, and we won't help ICE get you, even though jurisdiction lies, according to the Supremacy Clause, with the federal government. Can you explain why they're not complicit?
Yeah, I mean, they totally are, Sean. If you look at all the cases that we're actually going out after and what we consider sanctuary jurisdictions, those are the worst of the worst, right? So instead of us being able to arrest someone in a jail safely with two agents, now I have to send out 5 to 6 people to make the arrest, but another 5 to 6 to protect the people that are making the arrest. And these elected officials are pitting cops against cops, telling local law enforcement, you run the risk of being suspended or fired or losing your pension for giving us information. That's not the way to do law enforcement. What they're doing is not making America safe. And unfortunately, it's coming on the backs of my men and women because they're the ones that are being assaulted, threatened, doxxed, and most recently a sniper attack.
Okay, let's talk about the bill signed by Governor Gavin Newsom out in California on Saturday. Supposedly, I don't think it's constitutional, and I don't believe that ICE is going to abide by it anyway, because jurisdiction, according to the Supremacy Clause, as I said, lies with the federal government on federal law. But he's basically saying if you're one of the people that are around him, armed, protecting him, CHP, you're not subject to this new law. You can put on a mask. Why would he want to take the mask off of people that are constantly being called Nazis and fascists and Gestapo and brown shirts and every word in between? What is the purpose of that in your view? What message do you have for him?
Honestly, I just think it's political theater, Sean. He did make a mask rule for the masked and sometimes armed protesters in Los Angeles. I was there on the ground with the rest of my leadership team, and we saw individuals, masks, helmets, blocking their identities while they're assaulting not only ICE officers, but LAPD and CHP officers. I think it's totally wrong. I would love to have elected officials stand by us and have a bill where we're going to hold people accountable for assaulting officers, doxing officers, right? The reason why men and women of ICE are scared to have their identity is because people like that, when elected officials are calling on to resist, like the governor did the other night, he said he agreed with pushing back against ICE. Next day, we have a sniper attack. And then we just have this bill where he wants officers and agents to be exposed. And they're not afraid to do their job, Sean. What they're afraid of is their families being injured, hurt, or threatened. The brave men and women of the ERO Dallas office and HSI Dallas, they went out today right back to work after that sniper attack. So they're these brave men and women that I want to get the support that they need and not have to be afraid of sniper attacks or being called the Nazis or Gestapo.
Well said. Do you think they're inciting?
I do. And I really do think that all these protests and assaults are organized. We are under President Trump's new authorities now. We are focused on targeting these groups, finding the money, and getting those leaderships who's not only putting our folks in danger, but all of law enforcement in danger.
All right, we appreciate you being with us, Todd Lyons. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.